Welcome to Paddock Pass. Round 4 of the 2015 Formula 1 season sees us in Bahrain, and by far and away the biggest question on everyone's lips arriving here in Sakir is, where's my suitcase? Because I don't know. It got lost en route, so the jeans are the only thing I own. Everything I've borrowed everything else. Shirt is Jason's. I've got to thank Mercedes and Hugo Boss for the belt, without which this would be looking very baggy. Socks, shoes, and yes, even underpants borrowed. More information than you needed, probably. Anyway, hopefully it'll show up before the weekend. A team that might feel they have had their clothes stolen this year, Williams, all looking so good in pre-season testing, but since round 1 they have fallen further and further behind a team that most expected them to be ahead, which is Ferrari. We caught up with Felipe Massa and his teammate Valtteri Bottas, and it's the Finn that you're going to hear from right now when we arrived here in Bahrain. 3 races in, almost the end of the flyaway part of this season. How would you weigh up Williams' achievements over the course of these 3 races so far?
Well, for sure we were hoping to be a bit stronger in the races. Ferrari made a big step, so we've been struggling a bit compared to them, but it's still a long way to go. We know the areas to improve, and for me it's now only starting race 3 of the season. So there's still plenty of things we can improve, and I'm confident we can.
Has it been a disappointment, the fact that the gap between you and Ferrari has simply grown over the opening races?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, example, the last race in China, there was, for us, we were kind of just between Ferrari and Red Bull quite clearly, with a reasonable margin both ways. And we do definitely, want to get forward and want to get properly racing with them in the front.
It's an oversimplified question, but how do you reverse that trend?
Sorry, what do you mean?
How do you reverse the deficit to Ferrari? How do you start gaining that time back on them?
Well, we just need to keep doing what we've been doing the last couple of years. All the time learning from every single race, all the time try and improve something for the next race. And I think so far this season we've achieved that, but there's still a long way to go. And I think one big thing is understanding more about the tires. I think last year probably we were more on it, especially end of the season with the tires, but we are getting hang of it, and let's see.
Of course, Ferrari are the first target, but once you've got them, there's then the target of Mercedes. Everyone's asking the same question: how do you beat the world champions?
It's not easy. They are so quick at the moment in qualifying and in the race. We just need to keep all the updates coming, and everyone just need to keep pushing at the factory and in the race team. That's the only way.
Williams then with a lot of work to do, coming in a little bit under expectation at the moment. One guy who keeps exceeding expectations every weekend, the man of most people's races so far in almost every race, rookie sensation, 17 years old Max Verstappen. He's only scored points once out of the opening 3 races, but has been in a position to do so at each of his first 3 Grand Prix, twice denied by technical gremlins. How frustrating is that for the 17-year-old as he marks the end of the first part of his first season in Formula 1? You've just been talking to the Belgians. Apparently there's an argument going on at the moment over whether you should be Belgian or Dutch. What are you, Belgian or Dutch? You're Dutch. Does it matter?
Well, at the end, I prefer to be Dutch just because I spent mainly my whole life in Holland, so with Dutch people around me. So I feel more Dutch. Okay.
You've had an astonishing start to your Formula 1 career. You should have been in the points 3 times. It's only been once. Is that a frustration, or is that... I don't know, does it give you confidence, faith?
It's a bit painful on one hand, but on the other hand it also gives you a lot of confidence that you are doing a good job in the first 3 races, and hopefully here we try to score points and try to finish the race. I think that's the most important thing at the moment.
One real positive is we're hearing a lot of good things coming out of your engineers about the way in which you work, not just throughout the weekend but during the race. What is it about you that is able to be in tune with the car, to work so much with the car, with the dials, while you're also racing so excitedly wheel to wheel?
But I mean, on the steering wheel itself, it's just before the race you do a lot of preparation, you study a lot of things, and I think that's the most important, that when something happens in the race you know what to do. So it's just all about studying, and then in the race you have to implement it, and at the moment that's going well.
And confidence on the brakes? seems so important, particularly with seemingly your trademark move, which is the very late on the brakes pass.
It was a bit better than Malaysia, especially after quali. Yeah, I mean, even in quali in China, I was not 100% happy, but then we made a little change for Sunday, and yeah, it just worked for me. And also I was starting to take a bit more risk, especially because the first 2 weekends you don't want to take too many risks and you try to finish the race. And here I was like, okay, now we have to go forward and score more points.
The trash cans down outside Red Bull Racing, probably, well, certainly after China, full of bits of broken Renault, and also championship aspirations, I guess, in one of these right now. There's just no chance for them right now in the championship, something which Daniel Ricciardo will be gutted about, coming here seemingly expecting to fight for the World Championship this year in his second year with the team. He was named Breakthrough Sportsman of the Year in the Laureate Sports Awards last week. I think thoroughly deserved. And a guy who you just can't keep down no matter how bad things get. And things are bad at Red Bull Racing right now, but the Australian will not give up and will always maintain a brilliant sense of humour, as I'm sure you're about to see in an interview which went in all kinds of crazy directions. Hello, Daniel.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm alright, actually.
Good,
yeah,
mate.
it's a bit of sun, a bit of vitamin D. Feel good.
It's never a bad thing, is it?
No, not at all.
How much are you looking forward to this weekend? I know that Renault have said they're going to be a bit more aggressive, I guess, this weekend, as you'd hope they'd be at every race. But what are your expectations?
I think just to do... I think we're yet to have a perfect weekend, from Friday through to Sunday, and that has to be our target, as simple as it sounds. There's not much room in a week to develop the car. We don't, no massive upgrades or anything, so it's just focus on the little things. And I think last weekend was going well up until the race, and it all felt like it was going to be a good race. I felt good and ready to go, but, a small mistake off the start was a costly one, and then that ruined our... a better weekend for us. So I think we've got we've got it all to play for, in terms of getting the most out of it, and I'm ready. So hopefully we can latch on to the back of the Williams and fight for a top 5.
You changed the engine overnight between Saturday and Sunday. Helicopter flying over the head. Well, did that have anything to do with finding the bite point come the race start?
Could be a good excuse, actually.
Yeah.
I might use.
You can use that next time.
I'll use it. If I'm honest, no. It was just my mistake with the start, and basically, just didn't keep enough throttle into it and got anti-stall. So that was the basic scenario or situation why I fluffed it. And
is it not simply a case of keeping? I mean, because we don't know sitting at home, but so often we sort of imagine that it's just right foot flat down, left sort of fingers holding it on the clutch, and when the lights go out, you let the clutch go.
No, not really. I mean, in a way, not in a way. The throttle, you only need a very little bit of throttle to get the car going, and obviously because the cars have so much power. They've got too much power for the tyres, basically. So if you hold it flat, you'll either do the clutch probably, or you just sit there with wheel spin. So it only requires a very little bit of throttle for the race start. And obviously, if you have a little slip or whatever, then it's under delivering, and you get the anti-stall. So it is a fine line. I mean, obviously, not many guys are doing it, making those mistakes. So.
Is it tough feeling it with your fingers? Because
feel it in my fingers.
Nice.
Feel it in my toes.
I don't know if the world's ready for you singing.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. We'll have a duet, mate. That's good.
Sleep much, so.
Did you not? Is it too hot, or is it the food?
I don't know. Sorry.
Any other classics you want to pull out?
Save it for a rainy day.
Okay. The song, or?
No. Is that a song?
I think so.
Alright, I don't know. Nah.
Probably something from the mid-70s. This interview's gone funny, hasn't it?
It has.
Where are we going with this?
Will be loving it.
They'll love this.
They'll love it.
Where were we going? Clutches. Yeah, because, guys at home, me, everyone that's driven a car, you feel it through your foot, and you can feel the bite point on your left foot, on your right. You know where you are. Is there a disconnect between fingers, foot, and, I guess, your backside of, feeling where that bite point is? It's
to be honest, with the hands or the fingers, it's not so much, with the foot, if you got the clutch on your foot, you sort of, you feel it out and you ride it out a little bit. In Formula One, you don't really ride it out so much. It's more of a just release, and it's probably more done with the foot into the accelerator in terms of feeling it. So we don't really use, the fingers is all really just for a reaction, and as soon as the lights go out, you drop it and then pretty much do the rest with your feet.
Thanks, mate. We look forward to the debut single.
Thanks. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Coming out iTunes 6th of May. Cheers.
Pudong Airport Sunday night in Shanghai was more F1 than the F1 paddock. Everybody seemingly leaving Shanghai as early as possible, either to get to Dubai for a few days of R&R or to get here to Bahrain to prepare for this weekend's Grand Prix. One driver who I saw, we were passing through passport control together on Sunday night, was Will Stevens. And I think it's really important, because it went a little bit under the radar, to say what a great job Manor did in China, not just getting both cars on track, but both cars to the end of the race. That's huge when you consider that a couple of months ago, not only had the team not even switched their engines on, everything was up for auction. The team was dead. But like a phoenix rising from the flames, Manor are back, and I think did a really astonishing job. Will Stevens started his first race of 2015, more importantly finished his first race of 2015. He was in the airport with his trainer, and his trainer was very unhappy that to celebrate, I took him to Burger King and bought him a burger. Hello, chap. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. Did you like the burger?
I did. It was actually very, very tasty. I had it in my own time, which was good.
How hard has working it off been?
Not that hard. I spent a few days in Dubai, so I was quite well equipped there.
Awesome. Looking towards this weekend, a great foundation in China. How much positivity has that given the team?
Yeah, just as you said, I think it was the first weekend where both cars are finished, and I think it's really important for us to get that weekend out of the way. And we can really start to focus on pushing forward and improving. But we always knew the first few races would be tricky, but it's nice to get to a point now where we know we can head into a weekend and shouldn't have very many issues.
What was the biggest thing the team learned by getting both cars to the finish, in terms of not necessarily you guys as drivers, but mainly the car and its operation?
Exactly. I think that's the first race distance I've done personally, and before that my longest stint was about 6 laps. So it's nice to know in the car and in the team and everything we've got that reliability there, and there's nothing to worry about in terms of anything. So I think we can just treat every weekend from now on as a normal weekend. We can run through everything as they normally would, and that's where I think we can really start to make some progress.
Can you start looking at car upgrades now? Do you have a plan in place?
Well, the biggest thing we need to look for is our 2015 car. Obviously everyone wants to get that in as soon as possible, and I think every weekend we turn up, we should be improving in ourselves at the moment, and then we can start to look towards more updates later in the year. But I think the biggest one we'll obviously get is when the 2015 car comes in.
Will you get elements of the 2015 car on this car, or is it just what you've got now is what you've got until the 2015 car arrives?
In all honesty, I'm not sure. All I know at the moment is we're doing everything we can to get that car in as soon as possible, because when we do, that's when we should make a significant step forward.
So from one end of the paddock to the other, from the astonishing story of Manor and their very likeable young man Will Stevens, to the team of the moment, the reigning world champions Mercedes-AMG Petronas. A big race for them in Shanghai. Lots of words spoken afterwards. Nico apparently unhappy that Lewis had slowed him down. A lot of noise in the days that have followed from commentators, from people saying, well, if Nico wants Lewis to go faster, perhaps he needs to overtake him, perhaps he needs to determine the pace by being in front. Nico himself said, if I was 0.05 of a second quicker in qualifying, I would have been ahead. It's getting needly between the two of them. A lot of mind games being played already, and we're only 3 races into the season. Let's not forget, this time last year, the epic race between those two Mercedes drivers right here in Sakhir, the Bahrain Grand Prix 2014. Surely a race which we will all remember for some time. We spoke to both of the Mercedes drivers when we arrived here in Manama. First of all, you'll hear from Nico Rosberg, and then World Championship leader and the man who's won 2 of the 3 races so far this season, Lewis Hamilton. If we look back 12 months to a race that everyone still talks about, how frustrating was it for you that you threw everything at that race, had the better tyres on, but couldn't finish on top?
That was very frustrating. I just looked at the pictures again now, and I should have won it, So back here again now, I learned a lot, definitely, in the car-to-car battle. So I think I would do better if it would happen again. and who knows, maybe there will be again such opportunities this weekend.
It's a track where you made your Formula One debut. You had a really unfortunate first lap, but an incredible fight through the field, fastest lap of the race that day. What is it about this place that plays into your strengths?
Great memories here on this track. So many things. Even going back another 10 years. You know, I won the GP2 championship here, which allowed me to get to F1. You know, so a lot of things have happened on this track.
And in the battle with Lewis, obviously everyone's making a big thing about it. He's saying he's more mentally strong. If he keeps winning and you keep finishing second, how does that affect you mentally?
Well, naturally, that gives him a bit of a, riding the wave. That's the way it is, and I need to try and get out of that. Last year I managed that really well because just after he won 4 times, I had the best run of the season. So yeah, that's what I need to try and do again.
Does that spur you on though? The defeat?
Of course, it's the biggest motivator. To want to beat Lewis, of course.
Lewis, great race in China, great victory. Nico was very unhappy after the race, seemingly with the way in which you'd raced. Have you got him beaten mentally already?
I don't know. I mean, Nico's been very strong the past 2 years, and since I've been driving with him, he's always been strong ever since we were in karting. He comes back fighting every weekend, so I don't really look at it that way. I think, and to be honest, I don't even look at his performance. I just look at mine, and as long as I know within myself if I'm doing my job to my best of my capabilities, then there are no questions. So.
How much did you have in hand during that race? Were you taking it easy, or were you on the edge pushing throughout?
When you're looking after these tyres, you're not particularly on the edge, and if you're on the edge, then the tyres won't last. So you're trying to find the right balance. So there's corners that I'm on the edge, and there's corners that I'm not. And I guess the fun thing for me is finding within my abilities to find where you can and cannot push, and and you change it from lap to lap depending on how hot the tyres get and how much oversteer and all those kind of things. So that's the challenge.
Ferrari, it seems, are much more in the hunt in the races than I think any of us had been anticipating. If you're fighting with Nico, is it possible that Ferrari can catch up to you guys? Have you got to be wary of the Ferrari threat as much as you've got to be wary of the Nico threat?
We're racing against everyone out there, so you have to be wary of all the threats, and definitely Ferrari have really picked up their game, so we're very conscious of them. We're very conscious going into the race that they are there. Here, for example, they got good long run pace and looking after the tyres, so yeah, I'm aware of it, but I'm looking forward. So I'm ready to kind of battle with whoever I need to.
I mean, the team has said they'll allow you and Nico to fight just as you guys did last year, but at what point, in terms of Ferrari's competitiveness, are the team going to have to say Nico's going to have to support Lewis?
Well, I don't know. It's not something I look at. It's not a decision I have to make. So my goal is to make sure I'm always the one in front and winning. So that's a challenge in itself. So.
Toto Wolff and Paddy Lowe deep in discussion as the sun sets here in Manama. Some would say they're in an enviable position, having the best car on the grid and 2 of the best drivers in Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. The question, though, is as Ferrari increases their pace, as Ferrari increases their competitiveness, how much is a war between the Mercedes drivers going to play into Ferrari's hands and allow Ferrari to get themselves into contention for this championship? It's a bit like watching predators, like watching a cheetah. They always go after the weakest of the bunch. If Rosberg keeps getting beaten by Hamilton, will the team ultimately have to sacrifice Rosberg and put all their weight behind Lewis Hamilton? Will Ferrari go after Rosberg, hoping that a team which is divided is easy to conquer than one which is united? Fascinating interplay coming in only 3 races into the season. You can catch it all live this weekend. Here are your times on screen. It's going to be a great weekend. Really looking forward to it. Hope you will join us for everything. For now, though, from Paddock Pass, from us all here in Bahrain, that's it. Cheers.